the Horror Hangout, a podcast where three bearded film fans watch the best and worst horror movies of all time. My name is Luke Condor with Kate. I'm joined by my regular co-host, Mr.
Ben Arrington.
And semi-regular co-host, Mr.
Andy Conjure Turner. Hello, guys.
Hey.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad.
Yo. How you doing, man?
And
yeah, really good, thanks.
Not seen you for a little while on the show.
It's been a hot minute, hasn't it? I've been busy moving house, but I'm here now. You'll notice the wall behind me is a slightly different white wall to the one I'm usually in front of.
You normally lie on your bed, don't you?
I am. I'm sat on the same bed in a different place. Did
you ride the bed to the new house?
It did. It was a proper bed knobs and broomstick situation. Went under the water. Yeah, we got moved. I have like an office upstairs, but it's really hot up there, and I've been there all day. So I've come down to the bedroom here. It's quite cool.
You brought the bed downstairs for the recording. Lovely.
Yeah. Yeah, especially normally it's upstairs. Brought it down.
You grinded the banister with the bed. Tony Hawk's it around.
Tony Hawk style.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? Where have you been since last 2 weeks ago?
Where have I been? What have I been doing? I didn't move house. I'm still in the same house, unfortunately. I say that. It's fine.
Like our house. It's nice.
Nice house. Yeah. Like the Bulbasaur there.
Yeah, got the Bulbasaur there, chilling. Obviously, he's literally turned towards the screen this time, so he's watching. He's enjoying getting himself some podcast action. Straight from the horse's mouth. Yeah, I'm pretty good. How you doing, Luke? You had a little break, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Went internetless for a week, which was interesting.
Yeah,
not much happens about the internet.
You did nearly die, didn't you?
Yeah, I did nearly die, but the world is much slower. Yeah, I went swimming in the sea in the bit that you shouldn't be swimming in, and then I couldn't get back to the shore.
All of it.
It was like a mile out.
Was it like an adrift moment? A real life adrift? Is that what it's called? There's a few, isn't there?
It was just me out there, and I thought I saw another me, and it was a boy just bobbing on the water, just kind of red shaded plastic thing.
You were this close to being your very own episode of 999.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I was telling Ben the other day, like it's like a surfing beach I went to, and I thought I'd go for a casual swim out, and it's fine because the waves are powerful and big, but you've got like the sand on your feet, so you can sort of grip, you like stand your ground. But then I was swimming out quite a bit past the waves, and all of a sudden there must have been a shelf in the floor or something because it just completely disappeared, and the waves started crashing on my head, and were just taking me further and further out, and I couldn't get back. And I was telling Ben, there's like a moment where you put your finger in a bottle and you realise that you can't get it out. I had that, but like much worse.
Not quite as bad. Not quite as bad. Yeah, trivial as that.
So I had that kind of pile-on energy. You know, when you kind of you turn into an Incredible Hulk and you sort of you shit yourself basically.
Your body's like, right, I'm going to give you everything we've got now. We've been holding this back for a special occasion. The day has come. And then once you finished it, were you properly like shaky and knackered, need a little sleep?
I just kind of walked back to the beach and sat down with my fiance and said, "Oh, that was a bit scary."
Did you try and style it out? Were you like,
style it out? Oh, that was a mild inconvenience.
Well, I tried to kind of explain that I nearly died a second ago, and I've survived. This is a big moment, and they were like, "Yeah, you shouldn't. Yeah, right. You twat. You shouldn't have swam that far out, should you? Look at the size of the waves. Like there's no surface that far out or anything."
Well, you're twat that you survived, but if you hadn't have survived, they would have been much more
mortified.
Nicer. I think it'd have been.
Well, maybe
he was a great guy,
but he was a bit of a twat for swimming out that far.
It's always great these cautions you get after the fact. We were on holiday once a couple of years ago. We sat on a beach and. Proper like classic beach picture, like a hammock between two palm trees, and I was sitting there just reading the Kindle, and a massive coconut fell out of the tree and literally fell inches from my head, like just twanged off the rope for the thing. I was looking at this coconut like embedded in the sand.
Yeah.
And Karen looked over and went, "Oh, be careful."
As if you were responsible.
You've got to be careful around coconut. trees.
You gotta be.
You never know.
Yeah.
Like on the Sonic games, I'm sure they teach us that you've got to be careful of things throwing stuff at you from trees.
Yeah, robot apes.
What would have happened
Yeah.
if it hit you on the head? You would have had a big lump go up like that, and you had to push that lump down, and then a big lump would have appeared at the other side of
Yeah.
your head, and you'd push that one down, and then who knows what could have happened?
I can only hope that it'd be, if I find out when I get a knock in the head, is it stars or birds that I see like tweeting around, not terrible skull smashing.
Probably
Yeah.
just darkness forever.
Yeah, forever darkness. Pop the eyes out the front of my head.
Morbid.
In terms, speaking of morbid, has there been any horror news recently, Ben? It's a very
few
bad segue.
Horror newsy bits. Just some trailers that I was going to talk about. So you know that Blumhouse are releasing 4 different horror movies on Amazon in October. Well, if you didn't, there are trailers for all of them now online. one's called The Lie, one's called Black Box, one's called Evil Eye, and one's called Nocturne. And I haven't watched the trailers for any of them because I thought I'll save them. Nice little surprise. But I think they're being released like fairly regularly through October, so there's going to be something new
That's cool.
to enjoy from
good of them.
Blumhouse pretty much every week, which is lovely. Look forward to that.
Did you see the
Have you seen anything?
Y-
Go on.
Rob Savage, who directed Host, he's got a free picture deal with Blumhouse, and they've sold another film to Studio Canal, some prison horror thing, and then I've got the Sam Raimi horror film as well.
They're all going on. It's 5 movies. That was one of the news things I had. They're going to break down the many horror projects they've got coming up. But yeah, that's pretty much it. 5 movies, a prison movie. That's all they've given us for that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, interesting. Very exciting. Very exciting stuff. It's all happening. What do we know about the Sam Raimi film?
I think. Okay, I don't want to sort of speak out of turn. I think it was. I think that project came about because of the short film Salt, which is online for free. I don't know if it's related to that, but I know that I think that's what got them that, project rolling.
Sure, with Alice Lowe and it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff though for British filmmakers.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Horror
And,
focus.
Andy, have you seen Host?
You know what? I haven't. Now I've finished moving house. I'm gonna pile back in and catch up on everything.
It's very short. It's like 53 minutes, so it's not that long.
That was a big sell for Karen. I was like, "Hey, I've got this film I'm going to suggest we can watch." Guess what? Less than an hour. It's loving it.
Yeah,
She was like, hell yes.
It's a good one for to watch with people, I think.
Yeah, we're big fans of similar genre. I speak in defense of Unfriended. I liked it, and I thought it was a really innovative thing. So, and I know that Host, without the has been very well received. So I'm looking forward to getting and seeing it. I'm probably aiming to have, as October strikes, really have a good old binge and catch up on a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Have you guys got any October movie watching plans? Because I know we haven't made any solid plans for anything we're going to do with the podcast. But
I always think that I will put something together, but I always leave it too late and never do it. So maybe we should get a project in place.
Yeah, be good. I think I've got to the point now where I've fully transitioned into watching more horror than anything else. I think it's kind of like over the last few years, it's slowly been weeding its way in. But now I think probably at least over half of what I watch is horror now. So I'll probably just be a standard month for me. But if we plan something, maybe a theme, maybe a list, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it.
What about you guys? Is there any other news? Is that it? Or
there was another trailer, and this was what I was trying to tell Andy about this, but I completely forgot what it was called. So there's a trailer for a film called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which is from Jim Cummins, the writer and director of Thunder Road, a werewolf film. Stars the late Robert Forster, and it's like a small town sheriff trying to solve some murders, and he finds out they're happening at a full moon, aren't they? And then he just tries to hunt down the killer, who may or may not be a werewolf. But yeah, trailer looks pretty good.
I love if it actually turned out not to be, and that was just the first.
Not a werewolf.
It was a bad detective. That was the first. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
It may or may not be a werewolf. Probably not a werewolf, is it? It's turned out it's not a werewolf. Yeah, I'm afraid.
Apparently,
Yeah.
that Thunder Road is good
everyone's
as well.
time.
I've not seen Thunder Road, but apparently
No,
it's
I've not
a lot
seen
of fun.
that. That is pretty much it. The only other thing is during the PS5 showcase there was another Resident Evil trailer bit, but it kind of felt like about 85% what we've seen already. They added this sort of like storybook element. It looks a bit like the animation from Coraline to try and sort of tie everything together. But I guess we're still not 100% clear what is going to be going down in that film, what role Chris Redfield will play. It looks...
No, his character model's changed again.
Character models changed again. This time, I better do it halfway through the game. They'll go, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
No. Not quite right.
Yeah, halfway through the film, he'll go from his kind of Sean Bean like he's got right now, and he'll go back to like the boulder punching Chris Redfield, maybe.
What do you think PS5 and horror games is going to bring? Because obviously we'll have the dual sense controller now as well, with the
I don't
extra
know. I think
bitty.
you kind of look more towards indie horror games to see what the sort of the franchise stuff is going to do, because that first person horror stuff was all happening on the indie side before Outlast did it, and then Resident Evil did it, and I don't know. I mean, maybe they'll, because what were the puppet combo games we were playing? They kind of went back to that old school survival horror. Maybe there'll be some more of that kind of thing. I don't know.
I think the people to watch on that will be, and I'm not sure how much we've seen of it yet. Aren't the team that did Soma working on something new right now?
There's a new Amnesia game, isn't there?
That's right. I think that's the team that's doing it. So they're doing something else with Amnesia, given their form for it. You know what they did with Amnesia in the first place, and what they did with Soma itself. I think if you're going to see innovation somewhere, you might see something come out of that. And if not, even if they don't change any of the mechanics, it's going to be a pretty damn good game out of it, I imagine.
Yeah.
Very exciting stuff. Very exciting. Have you guys watched anything this last couple of weeks? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I've seen a few things. Okay, so I've been carrying on. I tell you, the horror movie, the most horrific movie I've seen in a while was The Social Dilemma, which isn't a horror movie. It's that documentary about social media. Have you seen it? It's on Netflix.
Not yet. No.
A lot of people are talking about it.
Add it to the list.
So what's scary about it? I mean, it's like a talking heads documentary, but they're interviewing all the people who invented big parts of social media apps, like the guy who invented the like button, the guy who invented the YouTube algorithm, watch next algorithm, those kind of people, and they're all talking about how social media, these algorithms were designed to persuade you to, keep watching, keep doing various stuff, and they've created these algorithms and this machine learning process that they don't quite know how these machines are selecting, or how they're working to make you watch more or stay on social media apps. It's kind of doing it. The machines are doing their own thing now, and they don't know how how they're doing it or why they're picking what videos they're going to suggest next and that kind of thing. It's just it's money driven, and the way they sort of, and it's terrifying. Even the people who are saying they invented this stuff, they're terrified because they don't think that you can stop it now. And the correlation between teen suicides and the rise of social media is really sort of entwined. Also, the political divide is like really entwined with the rise of social media, because it knows these algorithms aren't designed to give you what you want to watch. They know that enraging people will sort of perpetuate people's screen time. So it's terrifying, and they were just talking about how it's probably not going to get any better. Like, it's probably going to end in like civil war. Like, something crazy is going to happen. There's no way they can really stop your social media now.
What's the next logical step? Probably civil war. Yeah.
But
is it like it's a documentary? But are there some fictional elements to it? Did I see?
There's like a dramatization part to
dramatization.
it.
Yeah, got you.
It's kind of cheesy, but I can see why they've used it, because it just better explains quite a complicated, technology mumbo jumbo. But yeah, it's just really scary. I think there should be some more horror films based around killer algorithms.
Yeah.
I mean, it does sound terrifying. I was just going to check. So now technology is the new terrifying thing. They said podcasts are all right, though, right? Fill your boots on them.
I guess so. Podcasts feel like old school technology. They don't feel like smart technology. Like it feels quite dumb 2000s technology.
Yeah, especially your independent, your people that are out there, just a couple of guys talking about movies. They're like, I ain't got a BBC program. I'm not behind, I'm not big media guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all right.
Or are we? You never know. That's the thing. These big media guys, you never know who's backing them. Who's pulling the strings? You never know. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's not Rupert Murdoch. It's just Luke Gondor.
That's where your license fee goes, guys.
What about you guys? See anything good?
Go for it, Andy.
I was going to say, you go for it, Ben. I'll try and rack my brain, see if I've actually watched anything recently. All this moving business, barely sat down. But
I can go again if you. I've got quite a few here.
Oh, go for it, Luke. I've got something which is not horror related in the slightest that I've watched.
In fact, I've got one that I know Ben watched. So I watched Fright Night Part 2 after we watched Fright Night the other day. A couple of weeks ago. And it's a killer sequel. Like, it really kind of holds up to the first one. Fright Night, the first one, ends with them killing the neighbour. He is a vampire. And this one kind of picks up where, I don't know, like a year or two later, no one believes Brewster about this vampire that they killed. And then
he's kind of like convinced himself that it didn't happen as well, didn't he?
Yeah. Peter Vincent is in it still. I think he gets fired from his Fright Night TV hosting position. But I don't know, it's a bit campier. It's a bit more fun, but
way campier. There's like a roller skating
werewolf
guy.
Oh no, that's someone else.
Yeah, there's like a werewolf guy as well. There's like a guy who eats moths. I love the soundtrack, man. How did you feel about it was like a definitive 80s synth soundtrack. It was great.
Didn't they use some of the same songs? There was like kind of
I think so.
synthy...
They used some little refrains, didn't they?
Yeah.
Little refrains, and there was like it had a theme song almost as well, didn't it? I would almost go as far to say that I enjoyed it more than the first.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but I did enjoy it quite a lot.
Yeah, considering I'd never seen it and I pretty much knew not very much about it. I thought it was, standard 80s sequel, horror sequel, it's just going to be the same, but, more, or the same, but somewhere else, which it kind of is. But, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
So I watched a film called, I told you about this film called Possum, which I've kind of heard about and seen some visuals for a while. It's directed by Matthew Holness, obviously of
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Dark Place.
Dark Place.
On my tongue.
He's like the
Dark Place.
Sith Lord.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. Stars Sean Harris as well, who you'll know from, he's one of the bad guys in Mission Impossible. He's in Prometheus. He's got a very recognizable little face. That's not me being mean, just saying he's got a little face. This was like, it's hard to call it a horror film. It's more like a psychological thriller, but it was so bleak, and just like some of the visuals were just horrific to the point where you almost want to turn away. Where it's just like, oh Jesus Christ, that's just unnerving. It's I wouldn't say much more than that, other than it's basically about a guy who's like a disgraced children's puppeteer. He returns to his childhood home, and he confronts like his demons, and he's got a lot of them. So that's pretty much it. But
all the demons.
It's not supernatural. Then, is it all?
It's more. It's very. It's psychological. I suppose you could say it's supernatural if you looked at it from one way. But I don't think the film wants you to look at it from that way. It wants you to look at it from a psychological trauma sort of angle.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, highly recommend that. I really did quite like it.
You got anything, Andy?
I've got a couple of things that I've very swiftly added to my want to watch pile, but I haven't really got round to yet. I saw a few clips of a few bits and pieces. Do you guys catch up on The Third Day, the Jude Law effort? I saw a few clips of it, and I've been anchoring to watch that pretty soon. Yeah, it's a mini series, like a 3-parter, I think. It's got a lot of the Wicker Man vibes. Jude Law finds a young girl in the wilderness. Something's going on there. I won't spoil it. He's taken her home, and it's a place off the East Coast. Is it near Essex? Quite nearby. There's a little island that you can only drive to when the tide is just so.
Is that in Woman in Black? Is that the same?
It's similar. It's a similar type of thing. You can only drive to it when the tide is exactly how it is. And then when he gets there, there's all sorts of very sort of folk horror imagery. Lots of people with like fish heads and scissors running about the place. And the clips I saw looked pretty intense. And obviously, they've obviously spent the money on getting like film grade actors to be in it as well. It looks pretty terrifying.
Let me ask you, how bold is Jude Law in this film? Because he seems to swap between having hair and being bold intermittently. I mean, I went from one to the other like most people, but he changes his mind quite frequently.
Just taking a look at a little picture of it. He's got a fair whack of hair in this. So he's thinning on the top. He's got kind of almost like a Mr. Burns hair in this one, but not bald on the top.
Interesting. Yeah.
Not bald on the very top.
He's
definitely follically challenged, but it looks like he's in denial, which we've all been.
Hollywood, though, you can do good wig work. It'd actually be better to have no hair, and then there's loads of room for those wigs.
Yeah.
Put whatever you want on. You'd have any of the Simpsons eggs, have a Marge hair if you wanted to.
I'd see him. I'd like to see him with his Mr. Burns too.
Well, if you want to do that, Luke, you should tune in to
I thought you were going to say
the third day.
Grow it out on the sides and he'll be there.
But, it's one of those that I think it's going to be an awkward one to watch. It's on a streaming service that I almost certainly don't have. I think it's HBO Max. I'm not sure what it's screening on over here, but I'm going to find it and I shall watch it, having seen some clips that were entertaining to me.
What about you, Ben? See anything else?
Apart from that, the only significant thing that I've really watched is the new Bill and Ted, which I went back and watched the whole trilogy just to sort of get back in that frame of mind. And sequels 30 years after the last installment are always going to feel kind of odd. They always don't kind of feel quite right. But this was the new one. The Face the Music was good. It was dumb. It was good, dumb fun. Had some good gags, heartwarming moments, albeit a little bit predictable. Kind of went in the same direction. I don't know if you ever noticed this. Bill and Ted, their whole shtick is that they're musicians, right?
Yeah.
And that they're in a band.
Yeah.
They haven't got a single song. They haven't got a single song. You'd think that with things like Eurovision movie doing well this year,
they have a song. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You think they'd have a song which was which could be popular for whatever reason. But what they tend to do is the whole shtick of this film is that they're writing a song that is going to unite the world. And then obviously no spoilers. I'll just get down to what the song is. It's just them shredding over just some beat. It's nothing. Do you know what I mean? No one anywhere is going to go, bloody hell, I'm going to stop getting angry on Facebook.
Stop having all them wars.
Listen to this music. Stop having all them wars because of this song. It's
Beelzebub.
It's them shredding.
Tenacious D song.
No, exactly. And then I watched the other two as well, and it's the same as well. They're in a band, but all they do is shred over something.
Do you sometimes
shred with no drums or bass at all.
Do you not consider the song
sometimes without
guitars their song?
What's the song at the end of the second one? They just shred over something else.
With it's a Kiss song.
Oh yeah, it's a Kiss song. Yeah. No, because you don't actually see them performing it at any point. No. So and we hear a lot about Def in this new film. We hear a lot about Def and the fact that he's got a really quite long musical career and varied musical career where he's tried lots of different genres, and we see album covers and we hear about songs and various things, and I just think he's better than Bill and Ted. Just get him to do it, for God's sake. But yeah, one thing I've definitely decided, Keanu Reeves needs to keep facial hair now, because, you know, obviously, yeah, he was Neo when he had no beard and you could kind of deal with that, but now without facial hair, Keanu Reeves for the first time looks old. So please just keep the beard. John Wick, just don't lose it again, ever.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been a big Bill and Ted person. I don't think I watched it too much as a kid, but I'll check it out. I've been watching. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, it always kind of crossed over Wayne's World for me, to the point where I'm like pretty sure they've got the same catchphrases. I know one says swing and one says excellent, but they definitely both shred, and they definitely both say excellent as well.
Yeah.
Anyone that says excellent is being Mr.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, sorry. Go on, Luke.
Well, I've been watching. It's not particularly horror, but The Boys season 2 is out, and I was watching it, and the moments that I really enjoy in that show are the really horrific moments. Like there's like the. Have you been watching it? Do you know much about what's happening in season 2?
I've seen series 1, but I don't know much about season 2.
But like the gore gags are like disgusting, like to the point where I have to watch them again. Because it's like kind of engrossing. Like I can't understand how they put that on like on a TV show about superheroes. Like in season 1, there's like the bit where he melts that woman's face in. Like Homelander burns that woman's face with his laser eyes. Like there's more of that, but some of the gore is like it's like way more hardcore than a lot of horror movies are willing to go.
Yeah, the guy who plays Homelander, is he the most obviously a great actor, because he's like the most easy to hate character I think I've ever seen. I just hate everything about him. He's got no redeeming qualities or features.
Did I read a rumor that he didn't want to do it, so he tried to do a bad job in the audition? Originally, that might be just like a buzz. That might be just like a BuzzFeed rumor or something like that. But
so you're coming across as even more of a twat than Homelander is supposed to. You've got the job.
He's like, I didn't. All right.
Yeah. Well, there's like another sort of similar sort of character in this season who you can hate quite easily as well. But yeah, I mean, there's one particular death on the last one, and I was basically someone gets their face smashed in, and but it doesn't shy away from showing you the mangled, like. I mean, I didn't watch Walking Dead, so I think a lot of that was in Walking Dead, a lot of those sort of gore gags. But yeah, it's one to watch if you like horror, for sure.
It's also on my ever-expanding list of things to get to watch, especially as we're coming into this season now where Blind Manor about to come out, Umbrella Academy season 2 is out, all this stuff. Yeah. Oh, it's getting towards winter now, right? So we'll be stopping in. Yeah. Plus, for other reasons that no one's allowed to leave the house.
I think I'm just at the point where stopping in is kind of like my default state anyway. So it's all going to get watched. It's all going to get watched eventually.
Back in the old days when I was stopping in, I'd sometimes do it at the cinema, but now...
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, there's a couple of things I watched. Game Night, it's not horror. Tag, it's not horror, but they're kind of similar films. Game Night was actually really good. It's that Jason Bateman comedy. Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams. If you like, I don't know, those sort of big budget comedies that don't really they get made, but they're not very good anymore. Kind of Anchorman level, not as silly as that, but that kind of big comedy films that at one point when you're growing up in like Zoolander and those kind of films, they were big and they were really good. And I don't feel like they're very good anymore. But Game Night was very well made and very funny.
I've heard it's good.
Yeah.
I've seen Tag that you other mentioned. It was a perfect airplane movie. I sat on the plane. I watched it. Had a great old time.
It's weird that they're quite similar, like adult people playing child's games, but I feel like Game Night was a better film. Yeah.
Right.
And then it was this film. We watched tonight. I know we did last summer.
Do you?
You were recording the podcast with me, I think.
Oh yeah, probably this exact day last year. Okay, so I know what we did last summer is a 1997 American slasher film directed by Jim Gillespie. Stars Jennifer Love Hewitt, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ryan Phillippe, Freddie Prinze Jr. All of them. That's all. That's the big 1, 2, 3, 4 right there.
Johnny Galecki as well.
Johnny Galecki.
Oh yeah. And he turned up a hell of a lot more than I thought he was going to. So it's loosely based on a 1973 novel of the same name. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, you did. All right. Well.
That could be trivia.
Centers on 4 young friends who are stalked by a hook-wielding killer 1 year after covering up a car accident where they killed a man. There. That's it.
Yeah. So IMDb rates it at 5.7. Rotten Tomatoes 42%, critic 40% user score. Letterboxd is just above the middle grade, 2.7. I noted down some reviews here. Christina McCausland on Letterboxd says it's a movie about 14s who suck at killing people. Ali on Letterboxd gives it 3.5 stars. Says half the main cast was in the Scooby-Doo movie, which is true. Yepits Howard gives 2 stars, and he says I don't know. So I guess he doesn't know what they did last summer. Ego Speakos says, how the fuck a fisherman reached level 100 sneaking? Question mark.
Where's everybody in this film as well? So many people in this town are dressed in that fisherman's hat
with the collar all the way up over their eyes.
Yeah.
On a day that isn't rainy. Well, I better put my entire rain slicker on in case it rains later.
That's part of my personality. I'm a fisherman, you know. I've got to wear it all the time. Otherwise, people won't know.
What are those coats for? Why are they got collars that go all the way up above their eyebrows? Is that like when they're cutting out fish cuts to like protect the? I don't understand what the
when you're at sea, it can be really, really rainy. So rainy, you didn't even know. You might have seen it, Luke, while you were out at sea the other week.
I needed one then, yeah. I was getting very wet.
If
you'd been wearing one of them, you wouldn't have panicked at all. Dry as a bone.
No. Yeah. Dry as a bone, but so heavy. You would have been at least 3 tons heavier. You would have gone sunk like a stone.
Well, maybe that's it, though. Well, maybe that's how he sneaks as well, because it looks like you get the wet, be quite frictionless.
They look like they're being attacked by manta rays. Like, they've just got these giant things sort of wrapped... Yeah, I don't know. And the hats don't look good either.
One thing that I noticed as well, I looked, is that Jim Gillespie, the director of this, has directed pretty much nothing else. Well, I say nothing else. He directed a film called Detox with Sylvester Stallone from 2002. He directed a film called Venom from 2005, which just looks like a shit show. And then some short films and some other random things. So it's weird that this was it. This was the first film he directed, and this was kind of it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I mean, it's quite well directed, isn't it? It's not like... obviously, they knew what style they were going for. They were going for that post-Scream slasher, teen slasher kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like it ticks all the boxes. Why didn't he get more work? Maybe he didn't like it. Who knows? So
there's a sequel in there. Is that I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which I think I remember... I remembered more vividly than this one, because I remember it's got Brandy in it. I think Coolio turns up as well.
Oh, Coolio.
Yeah, it's on an island. I think Jack Black's in it as well.
Isn't there a third one?
Well, there is a third one.
Know what you did last summer?
I
remember the twist reveal of the killer was like a ridiculous, it's Bill Davidson. Get it? David's son. Bill Davidson. That was like the reveal. I think it was the
latest one.
I don't know. One of them. They were like, "It's Davidson. It's David's son."
So I've watched a couple of these post-Scream 90s, early 2000s slashers like Urban Legend and Valentine. Yeah. I know I discussed that last episode, but I honestly think they really do struggle. In hindsight, when you look back at them, Scream obviously feels like a classic and it feels sort of timeless in a way. But these ones that sort of follow up, maybe it's the lack of meta.
Yeah,
obviously Scream did really well with the meta sort of side of things. I don't know why, but
we'll come to it in a bit. But I hate everyone. That was my problem. I was watching these people, and it's quite early on. I think for most of the film, I'm team fisherman. A lot of you have got no redeemable features.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how I felt with Valentine, and there's no like real sort of jokey comedy character or likable. You know, even Jennifer Love Hewitt, who's essentially like the girl next door in this, but even she kind of like gets on your wick.
There's one scene that I was like, that must be played for comedy. Like when she screams, "What are you waiting for?" and the camera kind of twizzles around to.
Got some interesting.
So you got some nice trivia on that.
Nice trivia on that, based on. So I was watching it, and based on a little Twitter exchange I had last night, found out something new about that particular scene. Also, I get really annoyed by this film because obviously it's trying to play it up so that you think Freddie Prinze Jr. is the killer. But why don't we see anything that happens to him? Because, you know, obviously spoilers for I Know What You Did Last Summer, but Freddie Prinze Jr. isn't the killer. We don't see anything from his point of view for the whole film.
Well, he's not doing anything. Oh, he does get a letter.
He goes, I got a letter. Is that set up literally just to make the audience think it's him?
It could. Well, there is that, but something could have happened. I always felt like this was like this serial killer. Like he leaves lots of like not traps, but like threats around people's lives. What if Freddie Prinze Jr. just didn't notice? Like the killer would set up this room, and there's like a dead body in there, and he's like waiting for him to go in there, like in the bushes or something. And then Freddie Prinze Jr. just walks right past it, just doesn't go into the door. Yeah. And then the guy's like, "Oh."
He sits down watching football. He sits down in front of the computer.
Or maybe because the murderer is a fisherman and Freddie Prinze Jr. works as a fisherman, he's got too much respect for the industry. He's like, I'm not going to mess with you. People work really hard.
Union man.
It's a tough job. I'm not going to mess with that.
I don't know if it was just because I kind of was losing interest as well. But here's another thing, right? This is one thing I said about these sort of era slashers. I think you know how good they are based on what you remember of them. Like Scream, I could tell you everything and who the killer was and why they did it. Scream 1, Scream 2, maybe not so much Scream 3. But with these films, like this one, Urban Legend, other things, I remembered nothing about them. So going back to them, it was like watching them again for the first time. Yeah. And everything was sort of like brand new information. And I think that shows how effective they are in terms of twists and shocks and reveals.
It's a good bar.
The fact that it didn't stay with me. Well, I've seen this film loads of times.
This is written by Kevin Williamson. He also wrote Scream. Scream!
Kevin Williamson from Carry On Films. What's his name?
You'd think it'd have some of the similar qualities, but maybe that's what Wes Craven brought to Scream.
Yeah.
The extra...
The meta.
Yeah.
The meta just takes it above and beyond. Looks like he wrote The Faculty as well, which is a good film.
I really liked Faculty. Yeah.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez, I think, right? Who directed that?
Correct. You're correct.
Robert Rodriguez does great films. He gets overlooked. From Dusk Till Dawn, Sin City, like these really kind of The Faculty. These great films that I don't know. He just seems to get overlooked a bit these days.
I rate him.
Yeah, Spy Kids trilogy. Yeah, he's a good.
My favorite.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Why did you lead with those? Jeez.
Yeah. Shark Boy versus Lava Girl.
Is that one of his? No.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. He's got some good.
Okay, so the thing is, I know this film quite well. I had this on VHS. I had Scream as a kid on VHS, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and kind of watched them both quite a lot. And at the time, I remember thinking it was really good, but maybe that has changed. So we'll find out when I rate the film. So how does it start? They're all partying somewhere, right?
They are partying. Well, first actually, we begin with a we go to like a Miss whatever this town is called competition, don't we? Where Sarah Michelle Gellar's character is having, she's doing her portion where she gives a speech about how she'll change the world, and she announces that she's going to go to New York to serve her country through acting. And the thing that first struck me in my first note here is that the friends of the contestant, rather than having a place of honor in the audience where they can support their friend, are like up in the rafters of the building.
Yeah.
The riff-raff.
Just watching down from there, and we have a little bit of a Jennifer Love Hewitt's character goes, the two guys are talking about I think literally it's the 90s. Don't cancel me. I'm quoting, but like it's like
talking about boobs,
and she got lovely boobs, and then Jennifer Love Hewitt's character goes, "Oh, I'm on sexist overload already," and then laughs, nudges them, and leans in to watch.
What about these?
You guys stop being such absolute pigs.
There is something about. No, I'm going to keep referring to Valentine just because it got on my nerves so much. But there is something about these films where it paints a lot of male characters to be assholes, misogynists, and just like no redeemable qualities, just absolute twats. And then when they die, you're like, yeah, great. But I don't know. I just feel like could we get something a little bit different? I don't know. Like obviously with Scream, you get what's his name? What's the guy's name who knows everything about the horror movies and
Randy,
yeah.
Randy, like obviously a genuine good guy. When he dies in Scream 2, that is like is devastating because you're like, oh my god, like no way. But with this, when a car is trying to run down Ryan Phillippe, you're like, good. Run him down.
He's the he's the best example there because he has. Not only, when you have a character and they have flaws and they might have redeeming things, they might have problems which makes them a bit of a nightmare. But he is like relentless. It's like he won the bingo on like personality faults. He drinks too much. He's an arsehole. He starts a fight. He almost beats up his friend. Doesn't take any responsibility for anything. I tell you, we'll get to him.
Even like minor characters such as Sarah Michelle Gellar's sister.
Oh, she was the worst. I thought I could not wait for her to die. Why was she such a bitch?
I don't know. So she's a bitch. She treats Sarah Michelle Gellar like shit. When she's brushing her hair at one point, she says, "It is pathetic that you brush your hair." I mean,
you
pathetic. Look how you're doing it.
I don't brush this hair.
You and your fucking hair. Do you know who she is?
I just roll out of bed. Yeah,
do you recognise anything?
I do recognise her. Yeah, so she is from. Go on, tell me, because I'm gonna have to just remind myself.
She's Sonya Blade.
She's Bridget Wilson.
That's
right. That's right. Sonya Blade.
Yeah.
Sonya Blade.
She's also in House on Haunted Hill as the which we watched recently, and she's the one who's filming all the ghosts.
Yeah.
Reporter, what they want like a reality TV career.
And she's Jack Slater's daughter in Last Action Hero.
Oh god! Wow. Oh, she's in Billy Madison as well. But yeah, so even a minor character who, has not many lines and appears in like 3 scenes perhaps, she's made to be such a bitch that you want her dead as well.
She's not even like a realistic, like not a nice person.
No.
Like she's unbelievable. Even like Johnny Galecki, who we all know now as a lovable Leonard guy in that Big Bang Theory show, like. His character's a weird one because he like comes across as a bit of a dick quite a few times, and I kind of feel like he's supposed to be the nerdy guy who we kind of like.
Yeah. He has like one line. Yeah. Sorry, Ben, go on.
He's a bit pushy towards Jennifer Love Hewitt at the start, isn't he? So he says about having a drink with her, and then he says about going out with her, and she's like, no. And he's like, we've been friends forever. You owe me.
Yeah.
That sort of attitude. So like, okay, well, he's a dick. And then Ryan Phillippe is like, steps in to defend Jennifer Love Hewitt's honor. And like, who are we supposed to be in favor of?
I think only Jennifer Love Hewitt, Freddie Prinze Jr, and Sarah Michelle Gellar. Like they're the only.
Freddie Prinze Jr is a complete dumbass. He's a complete vacant, dead-eyed. Just
he looks like he's confused. He looks like he's been hit in the head by a football when he was like 10.
At one point.
And it changed his life significantly since then.
At one point, Ryan Phillippe runs, punches him in the face. Freddie Prinze Jr. gets up and goes, "All right then, oh come on, he just punched you.
Yeah,
hit him back for God's sake."
Yeah, it's wild, and like maybe that's why like he's missing all these clues that the fisherman's sending him as well.
Yeah, he's not right. That guy.
Oh, I know what he did last summer. Well, at least someone does. I can't bloody remember.
In many ways, he's got the simplest life, and also his career choices as well. So, option 1, I'm going to go to New York or whatever city he's going to. He's going to New York, isn't he? I'm going to go to New York, and I'm going to sit in a coffee shop and be like a writer or a poet or something like that. Yeah. But if that doesn't work out, I'll be a fisherman.
You know,
one or the other.
The twist. I don't know why we're talking about this already, but the twist is really forgettable. Not unforgettable. It's the opposite. The twist in this film is so forgettable. Like the twist in Scream, like you're saying, the story kind of holds together because it's like, oh, it's those characters who are the actual killers. That's quite an interesting way to do it. In this, it's like some guy we've not seen, who's not been part of the film.
I was confused. Like,
yeah.
I was like, wait, so who is it again? Like, is it this guy? Is he related to someone? Is he involved somehow?
He's a
completely
unknown character. He's like an extra character that we had no knowledge of throughout the entire film until Jennifer Love Hewitt starts to do some investigating.
Yeah. He's just this guy, but like you think, like it does a tiny bit of work in the way that Scream did it very well. I think where you come up and think, okay, we obviously know the killer, and obviously we don't, but you're led to believe you're going to be able to try and work out who the killer's going to be, and you get a couple of suspects that are immediately, like, almost immediately debunked. So Johnny Galecki's character is the first one, where you think, oh, you know, maybe he's got something in for that group of things. He only really likes Jennifer Love Hewitt, and he hates all the others. Is he going to be the fisherman, and then maybe this relative character, and then maybe Freddie Prinze Jr.? But like, none of them you get more than a few seconds for one reason or another to ever truly suspect them, because they're immediately either proven innocent or killed.
Yeah.
What's going on with Anne Hesh as like a kind of a redneck?
Yeah. She looks like.
Are we supposed to think she's a threat?
You know, Resident Evil 7. You know, the Zoe character.
Zoe. Yeah. I was gonna say, I thought exactly the same. I thought too niche, but thank you, Link.
Yeah. Okay, so they're out partying. They've all got plans for the future. They're all going to go off to do big things this next year. But then, as they're driving home,
from their party place, the shipwreck that they just hang out at. Should we go to the shipwreck? Yeah.
Get ourselves down to the shipwreck.
They all have sex there. I think they do.
Yeah, pretty sure they do, because he says, "Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah." Unless it was like, "Do you sure you want one more beer?" Yeah, I did. Don't know why you asked that really... so gently.
They have sex on just a horrible, uncomfortable bit of Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, bloody hell!
Did you bring out on beach? No. So then they're driving home, and what's his name? Ryan Phillippe is sticking his head out the top, and he's kind of like,
"This is where he's the worst."
He is the worst. He is the worst. And he starts like dropping his beer all over Freddie Prinze Jr.
He's like spilling whiskey on him.
Read like road signs at the best of times. Like he can't. He doesn't quite know what's going on. He doesn't know what gear he's in. He's getting like alcohol spilled all over his face. And then they kind of crash into this guy.
Well, initially to go, I think it was a dog. Yeah, a dog in a coat. Or it was a deer. A deer in a coat.
And Ryan Phillippe's like splashed with blood from this guy going over the top of the car, having been smashed by a car. And that is the first thing they say. Because like, oh, was it a dog? And I was like, no, it's definitely not a dog, because there's a welly boot here.
Yeah.
Nobody acts, how normal people act in this particular moment. Like, there's some weird thing, like, especially with in not just in horror movies, but in comedy movies as well, where American characters of this sort of age are just obsessed with like my future being ruined by like the smallest thing. Where you're trying to go to college, it's not going to happen. It's just like, is it really drummed into people that much that that we're meant to believe that they're willing to just kill someone and get rid of the body because they're worried that, oh, there's a drink driving accident. So you're cancelled for life now.
Can we basically say maybe we're talking about this with the benefits of 2020 levels of cynicism here, but rich white kids going to prison for running over a guy while they were drunk, that isn't going to happen. They'll probably
Freddie Prinze Jr. does say he's not got the family or the money to get out of this like everyone else has.
But he only accidentally did. But again, even if he had got in trouble, that'd be Ryan Phillippe's problem for pouring whiskey all over him while he was trying to drive.
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is, it was just an accident. So regardless of what the situation is, it was an accident. Call the bloody police, you idiots. Because even if this isn't a late 90s slasher movie, you're going to have to live with knowing that you're slung a poor old bloke down a cliff edge.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, that, like, yeah, that was an accident, but what they then, all of them, even our heroine, even our main final girl, she takes part in all of this that comes next, because first they see Johnny Galecki is on it. Max is his name. He's on his way over, and he pulls up in the car, and Jennifer Love Hewitt goes up and says, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" "Oh, Brian Phillippe, he's just being sick, and I don't want to get the beers, the sick in the car." And he looks at the car that has got like a fisherman-shaped dent in the bonnet, and it's like, doesn't look so good, your car, does it?
Another annoying moment from Freddie Prinze Jr. here is that he comes over and Max is just super rude to him, like says, "Oh yeah, you really got the rich kid act down, haven't you? Wipe that shit-eating grin off your face." And Freddie Prinze Jr. just goes, "Oh, okay, see you later." It's like, fucking, I know you, no matter what's happening, fucking just stick up for yourself. Just say, "Oh, fuck off, Max, you twat. Get out of here. We'll murder you next."
That'd be the cat out of the bag. I've just murdered the fisherman. Oh no!
Oh no! You've done what? Yeah.
What's he telling me? I think you're either right, Benny. He either says what the shit you're gonna first says, "I want you to stop looking like your farts don't smell," and it's like, yeah. Can anyone do a face? Like, could you on purpose do a face that was the face of your farts not smelling?
Well,
I guess probably having a big, maybe having like a big sniff, because
It's like bloody smells of nothing, absolutely nothing, just
the breeze,
void of smell. And that bit is really strange, because I'm like, why do you hate them so much? Because you were being a bit pushy with Jennifer Love Hewitt, and they basically mugged you off. Good. And now what's the problem? And also, he changed jobs pretty quickly as well. In 1 year, he's gone from, like, I don't know, serving drinks or whatever.
Waiter at bar to in the ice shop.
He's in the ice shop, just basically organising crabs. My size.
He's a crab organiser.
Slightly too big. Ow!
Got a BTEC National Diploma in Crab Organisation.
Over the course of 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, they make all these choices, though. So Max is on his merry way. And then they take the run over fisherman down to the docks, where they sort of glare over him, and he's proven not to be dead. That'd be the perfect opportunity when he sits up and grabs you to go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, mate. We brought you down to the water because we were scared. I'll call an ambulance now because this man is not dead." Even if you went on to die later, you've done the right thing. But no, what they do is they whazz him in the sea.
Yeah. They just start beating him. Did I imagine that?
I believe he beats him up.
I don't think they beat him.
Tackles him into the sea.
I'm alive. This is my final breath. Get in the sea.
He chucks him in the sea. In the sea, as he's being pushed in the sea, he grabs Sarah Michelle Gellar's crown because she won the Miss Town competition. Yeah. And Ryan Phillippe goes into the water to beat him up in the seaweed underwater and get the crown back because it's evidence.
But then he opens his eyes, so like he's still alive. So what are we meant to think? Why are they convinced he's dead then? Because you saw him open his eyes.
Well, because we tried to kill him 3 times.
There's no way that Ryan Phillippe would have seen that. Like it's nighttime underwater.
Yeah, it was pretty well lit, wasn't it? There was like floodlights out there.
But he's got the crown back, and then this is the bit where they get up out of the water and they say, "Right, we must never speak of this again." And Prime Phillippe, again, adding to his laundry list of character flaws, he then immediately goes to like strangle Jennifer Love Hewitt and says, "You must never talk about it again." She's all right.
Freddie Prinze Jr. again. I'm just laying into him, aren't I? He doesn't step in to protect like his other half. He doesn't do anything to try to say, "Calm down, mate." He's gonna
probably think about something else.
He's probably thinking about, what shall I have for dinner tonight?
He's already sworn never to talk about it again. So he's not allowed to comment.
He takes it completely literally.
He's gone, what? Say it. Say what? What are you on about? That man we just
killed.
Good. What?
Caught you.
Okay, so that's all done and settled, all agreed on.
The end.
Cut to a year later. I think we start off with Julie, who's in school, and she's not enjoying it, or she's getting like bad grades or something.
She's getting bad grades, and her friend, a friend points out that you've got to go and get yourself a lovely suntan, your pale skeleton ass, and go and get that.
Nice.
Yeah. She really points out, like, having a bit of concern for your friend, clearly wasting away over the year of college. But it's led to believe, because then she goes home. Julie comes home and sees, she comes back and talks to her mom, and her mom is the same. She's like, "Oh, you're wasting away, and I've got your report card." Do you get report cards when you're at college? Apparently.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But her mom's been reading the report card and says, "Oh, you're doing terribly. And you're not talking to me. What's going on?" But you mean to tell me it's been the course of a year and you haven't noticed this after 1 month, 2 months? She's been gradually getting worse as the guilt eats her away until 1 year down the line to the day it's noticeable.
Well, I don't think she hasn't spoken to her mum, or she hasn't called back in that entire year, has she? So she like escaped and didn't want to, just kind of separated herself from it, the town. So
she comes back for holidays.
Yeah. So who did she see first? I mean,
well, she gets the letter, doesn't she? That is in the lovely handwriting of the fisherman saying, "I know what you did last summer." And she first goes to see Sarah Michelle Gellar, who she works in Sonia Blade's clothes shop, and it turns out that she isn't in New York as a successful actress. She's back working in the shop, stuck in the clothes.
Yeah. So like her life hasn't turned out great either. Ryan Phillippe seems to be doing all right. What was his plan? Did he have a plan?
He was going to play college football, and then have a baby with Sarah Michelle Gellar and go into rehab. They talk about that on the shipwreck beach.
Right, in that order.
Yeah.
In that order. I'm a baby, and then I'll go into rehab. See if the baby helps me out. Then I'll go into rehab. Yeah.
And then Ray is now a fisherman. He didn't get to become like a writer in the cafes in New York or something. I think he missed the bus or something like that to New York.
And he just went, "I'm just going to go home then." Well, you can wait for the next one.
Yeah.
Well, I missed it. No, but wait for the next. There'll be another one.
This ticket's non-transferable.
No. Fisherman it is.
Yeah. And it's quite early on that Johnny Galecki gets killed, right? I think.
Oh, this is one of my favourite bits, because the first thing Ryan Phillippe, his immediate assumption is that it's Johnny Galecki, it's Max that's threatening them. So the first thing he does is goes and he beats Johnny Galecki up again. Someone else is beating him up, and he says, "Don't mess around with us, otherwise I'm gonna come and beat you up some more." And then he goes back to tell the others, and at first he's very sort of flippant that, I've warned him off. I had to go back and take a note of this. Ryan Phillippe says, "Don't worry, he won't do it again. I've scared the shit out of him." I rewound back to after the fight between Johnny Galecki and Ryan Phillippe, and the thing Johnny says as he's going away is, "Don't test me, motherfucker." He didn't sound like he'd been scared the shit out.
Yeah. "Don't test me, motherfucker." Sounds pretty scared, that guy. I'll never hear from him ever again. See you later.
That's exactly what happens. It's the "don't test me." But then he makes the foolish mistake of putting his ice hook down, and it's a technique that would go on to be used in great success in horror classic Jack Frost, where you see a prop that is going to become used by the main enemy. He puts his ice hook down and goes off to arrange some more crabs, and then who should sneak in?
We don't know who this guy is.
Don't know who it could be.
Yeah,
it's quite a nice shot when there's like steam everywhere.
Yeah.
Is it steam everywhere, and then you kind of see his silhouette like reflecting everywhere.
Why is the steam everywhere?
Quite nice.
How's there ice in a room that's full of
crabs
steam?
are boiling up, and when he starts
Is he boiling the crabs?
I don't
giving
know.
them a little flash boil.
Give him a nice bath. Flash boil. Pinchy.
Yeah. So then, I mean, I remember this kill through most of my life. He's kind of looking through the steam, and then out comes the fisherman, and he kind of hooks him in the chin with his killer hook. What does he do? Kind of drags him over the thing or something.
He pulls him over. This is the like little crab pots that he's been working in. Is it the little boily bits where he's boiling the crabs in? So he hooks him in the chin and drags him over.
Yeah,
and that's it for him.
Must be like thanking his lucky stars that he found a weapon that he could now use to commit all these murders. Because he walked around empty-handed this whole time, gone, when it comes to the crunch, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
One that's thematically relevant as well. The story that they're all telling earlier on, because that struck me, not to go back to on the shipwreck scene. They're all telling a story about the hook-handed maniac that gets people.
Yeah.
But I could never gather why they are telling the story, because all of them know it. Because all of them are chipping in, no, that's not how the story goes. And every single one of those characters said that's not the story. How did he ever get to... Like, can you imagine us sitting around the guys and saying, "Oh, let's tell a story that we all know"?
Jack and a beanstalk. I know how this ends. Bloody boring.
I think that scene is in Urban Legend as well, when they're all talking about the killer.
It's pretty much exactly the
even
same
the
scene,
same legend about the
essentially...
dripping or the feet on the ceiling of the car, on the roof of the car.
The same universe
is basically that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just don't go talking about urban legends in any context, because it's just not good.
Yeah. So who's next to? I mean, no one dies for a little bit, did he? I think they all kind of just get terrorized.
Gets a bit run over.
Yeah.
He's in the gym. He's doing some punching, showing off his abs, and then his jacket gets nicked. And while he's running out, his car is also being nicked. And then he makes that foolish mistake. You know, sometimes. When I think it happens when this is the reason you're not meant to pursue shoplifters, isn't it? Because sometimes they'll turn around and just beat you up, and the store's not insured for that. Whatever, he runs after his car like a dog, chasing it, not knowing what to do if he's caught it. And the guy stealing his car stops his car, whacks the headlights on, then runs him over with it.
Yeah, when I was listening to a cat, we were confused as to why he was still alive. Like he just kind of passes out or something on the floor. Like why not just kill him?
Yeah, because he could, and he goes immediately as well to he gets knocked through a fence and then screams "Help me" as loud as he can loads of times. The fisherman stands over him, and then guess he just passes out, or does he give him a punch?
Passes out, I think.
He passes out, yeah. But I think the killer also wants to kind of. It's a bit weird because he does seem to just want to fuck with them a little bit as well, dial up the fear, Pennywise style. Before he eventually does the killing.
I guess that's maybe because they sort of murdered him three times. If they'd just run him over, he'd just have killed them straight away. But because they ran him over, choked him in the sea, and then beat him up underwater,
well, that's the thing.
Right,
they didn't. That's the twist, isn't it? They didn't do that to him.
I thought maybe now we are going to turn to those characters. It's not him that gets run over.
No. He is the guy who wanted to kill the guy that got run over. Because the year before, the guy they ran over was in a car crash with his girlfriend. The killer is the girlfriend's dad, or something like that. It's like twice removed.
But I thought that he had killed the man. I thought he had killed the boy that was dead, but then got ran over while he was walking back from that.
No, because they when they look at his face, he's got a tattoo. Oh wait, hang on a sec. No, you're right. You're right.
We've become everything we hated about this film.
Because they say he's got a tattoo, whereas he hasn't actually. When they say to Zoe, the Resident Evil sister girl, she says he hasn't got a tattoo. So you're right. I think he was walking back from doing a murder. And then he got but then his face isn't that particularly smashed in. I don't know, but
it's just so convoluted, isn't it? Like for something like this to work, it needs to be somebody that is relevant to the characters. It needs to be somebody who, first of all, you didn't quite, unless you're going for like unstoppable Michael Myers type, where who it is really, but the whole point of this slasher is that you don't know who it is, and there is going to be a reveal to tell you who it is. When it's kind of like someone A, you don't know, and B, you definitely don't care about.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no impact from that reveal.
Yes, when you see who it is at the end, it doesn't. I don't know. Yeah, there's no.
It is. Man.
It's inert. Yeah.
It's that bloke. It's not even that bloke. It's not like you go, it's that bloke who we saw earlier say something, or there was that creepy guy that we thought was a red herring, but is him.
Maybe they could have done the reveal better. Maybe they could have had just show his arm and you see the tattoo, and he goes, "Oh, that's an interesting tattoo," and he goes.
But it was all minor details that characters spoke about.
Look at his face, and his face is all mangled. Oh, that's an interesting face. How did you get that face? Well, a year ago.
Again, I'm going to go back to Valentine. That spoilers now for Valentine. I'm sorry if David. How do you say his name? Angelos. Angelos Epiphimu. So he is essentially the killer in it, right? But he's kind of throughout it. He's essentially the killer. Throughout it, his girlfriend, who's the main character, kind of suspects him as being the killer, and all the way you're going, well, it ain't gonna be him, is it? Because he's become too heavily linked with being the killer, that if it ends up turning out to be him, it's going to be naff.
Again,
but when it is revealed that it's him,
go on, sorry.
When it's revealed that it's him, it goes nowhere. We don't really understand why. Well, I mean, we understand why he did it, because we do get like a sort of precursor to the whole film, but we don't understand how he then integrated himself in the lives of these people to then become the killer. The film just ends.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a sequel. There's not a sequel, is there? But it's almost like the reveal is taking precedent over anything else.
Again, this is why Scream is really good, because they have that character with Billy, but then they make it obvious that it can't be him because he's in. Yeah. Because the killer was here at the same time.
In the same time.
Yeah. It makes you appreciate Scream even more. And he gets stabbed, yeah.
And he gets stabbed on screen. So it's almost like, it being the boyfriend is a bit cliche and maybe a little bit obvious. But, we've diverted your attention enough times that you're thinking it definitely isn't him now. And then when it is him, we get like another little tasty bit of information that, it's his mate as well.
Yeah, that's good. Scream is good. This movie is not as good, I don't think.
But it still has its moments, such as Ryan Phillippe getting run over, and then we're revealed that he's fine. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Having just been a little bit, he's got a couple of scabs, and the others come and see him. And so we've got to get this sorted. They have a little visit. And then think, right, let's go. And I think the next progress is where the fisherman does a bit of teasing, right? So Michelle Gellar goes home. This is where the sister gives us some shit about liking her hair. Oh, I get it. Brushing your hair. I think we have the investigation just beforehand. Sorry, they go and see Zoe from Resident Evil, and she mentions that one of her brother's friends, a Billy Blue, came to visit. And then she jump scares them by banging on the window and saying, "You forgot your cigarettes."
Yeah, that's. I like to say bye to people, visitors like that all the time. I run out to the car, to the postman, and say, "Do you want me to sign anything?" Just banging on the windows. That's good.
Shit! And it should, your car's fixed, isn't it? And instead of going, it is actually. They kind of just really dodgily just go, I think it is all right actually. Good boy. Bye-bye.
Oh man,
Let's give it a test. Working.
One of the most painful parts in the movie, because you just be so embarrassed. They've gone into a house under the pretense that their car doesn't work, and then when they get out there, they're sat there with the engine running.
That's one of those moments they'll look back on that more than when they ran over the guy, and they'll be cringing at that moment. Oh god.
And when that happened,
got caught out in that lie, didn't we?
That time we killed that guy. What? No, the car thing.
That'll be their version of in my life. Honestly, still haunts me to this day. My first day of proper school ever. They, for some reason, backwards school. Obviously, they were calling the register in first name order. I'm at primary school. The teacher shouldn't be. Use it by anyway. So first. Oh, Andrew leaned up. Oh, what? And she goes.
Sure, that makes you the cool kid.
My first
no one
day
answers
of school,
the saying, "Oh, what?"
My first day of school ever. Never met any of these kids before. This is an impactful portion of my life. She's like, you don't say what? And I was like, looking back on it,
she was trying to make an example.
I'm a 4 or 5 year old kid. I don't sound like that. I don't sound like an impression of a teenager who's also an idiot. You don't say what? You say yes, Mrs. Radford. Of course, every other fucker in the class got it. They've got my pain to live off.
I love that you still think about this. Yeah, it's scarred you.
37 years old now, and I still think back to that. Like my only.
I have a similar thing. In assembly, everyone was sat around like 300 kids, and they called for someone to come and help out with some demonstration or something, and everyone put their hands up, and then I thought they pointed at me, so I got up, was really proud, sort of walked to the front, and I got right to the front, and then he said, "No, we were actually pointing at the guy next to you." So I had to walk back, and all these faces were looking at me as I was walking back through them all, and looking back, like, why did they not just let me stay up? Why did they make me do that awful walk of shame?
Oh, jeez, that is my... I know what you did last summer. I think I could run someone over and that would haunt me less.
Yeah. I hate those cringe moments when they hurt your soul. There's like something about them that they're not nice to think about at all.
Yeah. Oh, they're the worst. But anyway...
Why have I not thought about that for 15 years, but suddenly I'm thinking about it. Mine's all football related, I think, with those things. Just like there's just moments where I've just either fallen over or like hit the ball really hard against the post and it's come back and hit me in the face, and everyone's going, "Way!" I played this is mine. I played a game at Wembley once. It was like a charity sort of thing through work, and they went, "Oh yeah, just bring AstroTurf trainers. You're not only need official football boots. It's going to be fine. It's only going to be little pitches." It was on a full pitch, and it was so rainy, and there was like just a whole massive pit. There was a whole group of like blokes who worked at like a brewery, so all proper blokes, proper lads.
When was this?
And
I
went over probably about 5 years ago, 5-6 years ago. I ran over to take a throw. Predators on. I ran over to take a throw in with no grip on my shoes. I slipped, and no word of a lie, I went about 15 feet down the touchline, just sliding, and they were going, "Way! She fell over." My face was so hot. And then I took the throw, and the ref blew the whistle and said that was a foul throw.
Oh, man.
So I didn't put it behind my head far enough, and I was so embarrassed, and all I could think about was trying to stay on my feet because I was like slipping all over the place.
Yeah.
Oh, no. So that's why I know what you did last summer moment that I think of all the time. If it's any consolation, Ben, those other guys, they brought gender into it, so they're all cancelled now. So
yeah,
they're over. Cancelled. Exactly. Everyone listening in, if it makes it might help us feel better, do get in touch on the socials and let us know which thing you wish people didn't know you did last summer, because this has been very cathartic.
Yeah. Cringe moments.
Yeah, but anyway, they've had one of those after they've been embarrassed meeting Zoe from Resident Evil. And then they go back. Sonya Blade takes the mick out of Sarah Michelle Gellar. We haven't used a single character's name. This is very confusing, I'm sure. But she makes fun of her.
Like Julie, Helen, Barry, and Ray. What are they
Helen
like?
is not Sarah Michelle Gellar, Helen.
Yeah. Who are Julie, Helen, Barry, and Ray? Are these the four people on holiday in Benidorm?
They sound like my mum's called Julie. Her mate's called Helen. Barry, I think, is Helen's husband, who was a butcher. This is from growing up. I think his name was Barry. What's the other guy's name? Ray. Ray's the kind of dodgy guy that you're not supposed to go near.
One of the Ghostbusters.
One of the Ghostbusters, or the dad from Sister Sister.
Yeah.
It's just, who are they? Who named these characters? I mean, 1997. Like, who's just got? They've literally just gone right. Who shall I name these characters?
Based
and they
on
look around
the
the room,
novel, though.
family.
When was the novel? 70s.
Oh, that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
they're 70s names.
Was it the same characters though in the novel?
I don't know. Nobody knows.
We'll have to read. We'll see if it's on Audible in a bit. But
it's true.
Yeah.
I've just checked.
So
all the same character names. So obviously they should have just updated it. They should have gone right. Well, it's been 24 years since this novel came out. Now it's
CJ and other names of that time.
Clay,
CJ.
Byron. Is that a name that those kind of Trey,
Byron,
CJ, Trey,
Chad.
Clay,
TJ.
Yeah.
Probably a Chad. Chuck a Chad. In there.
Chad. Yeah.
Chad.
But then you look at
the names of the people: a Sarah, a Ryan, a Jennifer.
Yeah. Freddie Prinze Jr.
Look at the names of the characters in Scream, which was a year before. Sydney, Gail, Stu, Tatum, Billy, Randy.
There you go, Tatum. Yeah, I've just kind of realised that Freddie looks nothing like his dad, Prince. Like he.
It's the thing that it's Prinze though, isn't it? There you go. Yeah,
don't ruin the joke.
You sure it's Prince? Prince. That's an interesting name.
But yeah, so
Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Helen gets made fun of for for loving her hair, and then she goes, "Oh well, after that exchange, I'm going to have a little sleep." And the cupboard door's open, and she wakes up in the morning, only to find her hair's all been chopped off.
Well, they say that,
To be fair.
but then when you see in the next scene, she
trim.
looks fine. Yeah, she's had a trim. I'm thinking she doesn't know what it's like to lose her hair. Not really.
Well, we say in the next scene she's fine. In the next scene, she's got a hat on with it all stuffed in there, like covering it as if she's been given a Mohican.
Yeah.
And
a scene later,
scene,
it's normal.
It's just like shoulder length. If I was that killer, I would have gone to town and give her Anne Hesh.
And
But what's happened is, she's got shoulder. She ends up with shoulder length hair.
Yeah.
When originally she had slightly longer than shoulder length hair.
You know, in Jackass 2, where they're going around with the clippers, with like a POV shot, and they just grinding someone's back of the head.
Yeah.
That would have ruined her life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was living in a pre-Jackass society.
Also, I mean, to be fair, so she doesn't get it that bad. Ryan Phillippe got ran over, and then what's her face? Jennifer Love Hewitt got a body in the car, like a dead body.
Only for like a few seconds though, and this is one of two occasions in this.
This
film
is where I didn't realize this film was a supernatural magic film until this guy he managed to clean. He must have got some like Polish cleaners into it or something. Someone, you know how fast they turn those cars around. Like, because 1 minute there's a body, there's full of crabs in the boot. 10 minutes later, spotless.
It's the crabs.
There's even a new smelly on the wing mirror, on the rear view mirror.
She goes. There is a man in the back of the car that has been dead for at the least he's been dead a day. And this man is dead in the car, but not only a dead body, but it's full of crabs, in this. And then in the time it takes her to go into the house, tell the other guys,
I've got crabs.
That I got crabs and dead Maxes in the car, and they're like, I don't believe it. And she goes, oh well, do believe me. And she goes, right, I do. They come out and look, and then it's completely.
Why do they not believe her though? Because they've all been experiencing like.
You know what he would have done?
Murder.
Sniff. Smelled like someone's had the Hoover on in here. You can tell. That's suspicious.
Someone's had a shaken back. But also, it's the middle of the day.
Yeah.
It's like a residential
Imagine
street.
looking around the corner and seeing like a man in like a giant slicker suit, like with a spray and a cloth, like cleaning down.
He's just round the corner trying to desperately drag. You know when you go to IKEA and you get those big bags for getting bits of furniture, the big blue ones with the handles?
Yeah.
He's pulling one of those round just full of crabs and Johnny Galecki.
Or he's like gone installed in their car like some sort of magic trick scenario.
Yeah, it's
where
just
it's
like
boot.
They should have just like, I bet there's like an extra level. They should have just looked under that. They're like, it does smell and sound like crabs. They're just under this.
It smells like crabs. It sounds like crabs. It is crabs. We've all been there. We've all been there.
But imagine if they caught him out with that. They like lifted this up and they were like, he's just a massive idiot who thought he could fool us by putting like a sheet
a pretend
over the
inside of boot.
That dead body looked awful as well. That dead body looked awful. It was covered with crabs just because the effects department hadn't finished it. It was like,
do you think
horrible big? It was a blow up man.
Do you actually think that Jennifer Love Hewitt's character, she shouts Max as she's closing the boot? Do you reckon that's to give us, the audience, just that extra bit of, yeah, that's who it is?
I would have not known.
maybe. I kind of knew who it was, but I've not put it in the trivia. But apparently they had to stop production because Jennifer Love Hewitt, after seeing that dead body, was like shaken to the very core, so she couldn't film anything else for a little while.
That sounds like a That sounds like a lie to make everyone go, bloody hell, this film is scary after all.
It is intense.
So when she turns and shouts at the screen, saying, "What are you waiting for?"
Yeah.
So I found out last night that scene was directed by a kid who won a contest.
Really?
Did you know that, Luke?
No, I didn't know that. That one scene is ludicrous. Like, it's just like one shot. Like, it's just that one like it's a crane shot.
It's like an aerial, yeah.
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 What
so
are
what's
you
weird
waiting
is
for?
that it is essentially one of the most iconic moments in this film, mainly because it's ridiculous.
I think
And
I've
kind of
seen
hate
people parody
Jennifer
it
Love.
quite a few times.
So it's been parodied in a Scary Movie where she says, "What are you waiting for?" And there's like a teacher going to kill himself. And he goes, "What am I waiting for? Okay." And he jumps out and kills himself. Pretty funny. I don't know why, but the little spin that Jennifer Love Hewitt does as well,
Yeah.
it made me hate her character so much. There were a few bits about Jennifer Love Hewitt that got on my nerves here. Initially, when she gets the first note and it says, "I know what you did last summer," as she opens it, it cuts back to her and she's got tears streaming down her face. How immediate were the tears that she opened it and went, "Cry," and they're already down my face, dripping off my chin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was directed by a kid. He won a contest to direct a film, to direct a scene. Not only did they actually keep it in the film, which you think maybe the directors would have gone, "Come on."
Did he
That's
do
not
the
my
whole
God.
movie then? Is that why?
Possibly.
Maybe
Apparently
that actor, maybe the director is that kid. Have you ever seen? What's the director's name?
Jim Gillespie.
You ever seen him that he's not a kid?
Little Jimmy
no, I haven't.
Gillespie.
Jimmy Gillespie. But apparently he didn't just direct the scene. The scene was also conceived by the kid. So
What?
the kid said,
It's,
"I want
when you
to
say
stand
the
in the street."
scene, because that scene is them going out to check the boot, nothing being
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Or is it just that one shot? Or...
It must be that one shot then, yeah. It must be that one shot. So from that happening, her turning around and screaming, "What are you waiting for?" What's she looking at as well? Because you can imagine there's someone in like a second floor on a house across the street looking out at the time. "What are you waiting for, huh?" And he goes, "What?"
I like
Sorry.
the idea of this kid saying, "It needs more drama. Can you really push it to 11?" Because that
yeah.
it's like
He's
melodramatic, that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Little Steven
That's the best
Spielberg,
acting Jennifer Love Hewitt has ever done. And that's saying something. Sorry.
Well, okay.
That kid really got the best out of them all.
Here's where like the murders start happening, because like the next day is the day of the parade. Like it's exactly 1 year since they ran over the guy. Jennifer Love Hewitt goes to do some detective work whilst Sarah Michelle Gellar is in the parade. She has to give the scepter,
The crown,
or whatever to the next winner. I think this scene is pretty good. The whole thing with her from here to the point where she gets murdered, I think is pretty good, where she's running away and the fireworks and all that kind of stuff.
I think you're right, Luke. This is probably my favourite part of the movie, and this is where the team have decided. I think this is just before Jennifer Love Hewitt's like big "What are you waiting for?" scene, or just after, where she goes like, "I've had enough of this. Tomorrow's his day. We're gonna make sure we do it because I, for one, I want my life back." And I paused and went, "Oh, I see. You've been really hard done to because you feel bad because you killed that man. You're the victims here. I forget."
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So they go to they have the parade through the street, and Ryan Phillippe he's watching initially as they go through the float, isn't he? And he runs after everyone at this parade is dressed as a fisherman in the rain slicker.
Oh, man.
And he chases after the first one he's seen and assaults an elderly man.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he had it coming.
That guy's in tears as well. That guy who in the slicker jacket. Yeah, but I mean, it's a hot day. Maybe he wasn't crying. Maybe he's just sweating. I don't know. So then Sarah Michelle Gellar's in the parade, right?
She's in the parade, and then they get to like the Miss This Town competition.
Right. Yeah.
And that, what is the like age limit on that? Because I was thinking, they're all like supposed to be young girls or in college age. It's like a 48-year-old woman who's doing a performance while Sarah Michelle Gellar looks on.
What is she singing now? Oh, she's singing Fame.
Yeah. Oh my god. Fair play to her though. She's giving it a go.
Yeah.
And this is proper frustrating as well, because it's proper frustrating because Sarah Michelle Gellar's character sees Ryan Phillippe getting murdered essentially by the hook man, and she's running saying help him, but everyone just like
everyone starts grabbing her. Yeah.
Everyone like subdues
that annoyed me.
Does that happen if you're ever walking down the street?
Get off!
If you see someone running, saying quick, call an ambulance, do you just subdue that person?
Yeah.
Quickly, I had to be subdued. And they just pin her to the ground.
Yeah, that's weird.
Get her off.
That really annoyed me. That annoys me in that we play the Fall Guys game sometimes on PlayStation. People grab people on that as well. It gets that same part of me. I get dead annoyed. What are you grabbing for?
Yeah, get off me. Get off my body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying. And then the police officer, like, is a blithering idiot as well, where he's just like, he's never come across an actual crime in his life. So she's saying, there's a kid on the loose. She's like, it's probably just some kind of silly prank. I was always doing it when I was your age.
He takes her let's have a little look at the place where this murder is supposed to be done. And he looks at this one little portion of the floor and goes, nope.
Yeah.
Not
there. Nothing here. Yeah.
But then,
as we go away, we see like dripping blood.
Yeah. So she's in the car. They're going to drive back to the police station, or going to drive her home or something. And then they spot a guy trying to fix his car in the middle of the road, so they can't. And they have to go through this alleyway, so they can't sort of turn around or anything. And then she sees that it's the guy, the killer. I think he gets like gutted or something. Like, doesn't he go right under the rib cage?
He gives him like a hook punch to the tummy, doesn't he? Right in the Gulliver.
Are we willing to believe that this killer, who's obviously angry at these four people for whatever reason, are we willing to believe that he wants to go as far as to like kill anyone who comes in contact with them? Essentially,
I thought the same. But the policeman didn't really do anything.
Yeah.
And also, Johnny Galecki, all he did was have that hook at his workplace.
He should be congratulating him.
Why are they
thanking him?
It's not really about revenge. And maybe we're led to believe that this fisherman was clearly quite happy to kill people anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it's a flaw in the plot. Who knows? One of those two things.
Yeah.
But he does. He kills 3, to my count, people who had nothing to do with his running over.
Yeah. I guess I just don't quite buy it.
The policeman, most markedly as well. Like, you're not likely to actively get away with that one. It's not like, if you'd killed that guy and running him over, or you'd done some of those other things. But like, if you actively smash up a policeman,
Yeah.
probably going to really look for that.
Yeah.
And it just happens. Just another film happens subsequently after that, where the police officer is then the killer, trying to hunt down that killer. I know what you did last summer. You hooked me, and then it's just a non-stop, never-ending domino effect of these films.
Where you kill someone but they don't quite die, and then a year later they come back and get you.
Yeah.
Just finish the job, innit? Just make sure you finish the job, just in case.
That's the killer's advice. You'll come to that. But yes, so Helen runs to Sonya Blade's shop, and she takes a sweet time letting her in because she's already started locking up. It takes a while, and this is where like the fisherman, he could have got her because literally you see him walk under the awning of the shop, and somehow the sister doesn't see her.
Oh god, that sister! When she Helen is like smashing the door, like screaming for help. She's obviously distressed, and the sister's like, like she can't be asked to like open the. It's so annoying.
She's like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I'd be like, are you thick? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, she takes an age to unlock the door. They go inside. I think what happens. So Helen Gellar goes upstairs to phone the police. No, what? I don't know.
The sister goes to shut the other door, and Helen goes to phone the police, but it doesn't work for some reason.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, the killer comes in and hooks Sonya, gives her a killing.
Yeah.
When he hooks Sonya, she right up to the moment she's killed, she still doesn't like quite believe what's happening. It's almost like she's still really cynical. He stands in front of her and she goes, like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
And then when he shows the hook, she kind of goes, like, "Oh, if you're gonna then just go on, murder me." Even dies like a bitch.
She's slagging him off. Oh, you hook, are you? Always obsessing about that.
Oh, you killed me, are you?
Go on, if you're gonna hook me, are you? Go on, hook a defenseless poor woman. Go on then. Yeah, good.
Pathetic. I've remembered, like, we keep going back to this early scene. Do you guys recall there's a bit where Freddie Prinze Jr. runs up to Jennifer Love Hewitt and actually shouts to her, pretending to be the killer, "I'm gonna hook you."
Yeah. It's interesting foreshadowing.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook you.
Yeah, that's just.
But so Sonya's been hooked, and then it comes to Helen's turn. We have a scene where.
By the way, at this point, is she Buffy the Vampire Slayer in the chronology of?
It must be, right? So if this is mid 90s, Buffy must be a thing by then.
So it makes this all the more tragic then, really, because Buffy was a hero to many, and she puts in a good fight as well. Like she goes up the dumbwaiter into the attic full of mannequins or wherever.
Oh, and he gives her a spook, doesn't he? First, because the fisherman's gone. He's killed the sister. He goes, "This will be a laugh," because all the mannequins in the shop have had like dust sheets put over them for the night, I guess, in case it's very dusty in the night in the shop. And he's gone under the man. He's obviously got them there and just put there and thought,
"This is." Now I can see why they had to make Scary Movie. Why that was an important film to make, because there's that scene in that way he's kind of hiding and his feet are like sticking out. Like. These films were so ready to be sort of parodied and ripped the piss out of. Yeah. But she jumps out a window into the garbage, I think.
She jumps out the window into the bins and then legs it down the street. And then this is where we have the scene where she's running through the alley and we can see the parade is just at the end. All she's got to do is get, about 10, 20 metres back to safety, I guess.
Yeah.
But doesn't happen, does it?
No, and no one notices. Like she's like a step or like a 5 meters at the most away from safety. Yeah, it's. I think that's quite a good scene.
And then she just gets hooked in a big pile of tires, right?
But It's like still daytime. I'm not too sure. I seem to remember like it goes to Jennifer Love Hewitt doing some of the investigatory stuff. I don't think it quite added up timeline wise.
Yeah, because she's gone back to Zoe from Resident Evil's house and has gone back and said, "Oh, she's taken the yearbook, hasn't she?" In the hope that she can point
Kind of
out
let a fish up as well, she.
Oh yeah, so she can step out menacingly. She's got a dead turkey and is chopping up fish, and she comes out like sometimes, when I'm carrying a knife, I just carry it menacingly and point outwards at people. But yeah, it turns out she's not a wrong 'un. She has an argument with her, and this is where she kind of says, "Oh, it's too difficult to explain that we ran your brother over," and he's like, "Oh no, my brother killed himself. He left a note," and it turns out that is also a note from the murderman saying, "I know what you did last. I know what you did."
What does the note say again? The note says,
"I know what you did," or something along those lines. Because
I mean, let's be honest, it wasn't 100% clear either way what the hell was going on, because initially I was like, one of them is misconstruing what the other person's trying to say, and that can't be it, and what? And I wasn't 100%. It wasn't 100% clear.
So,
well, even so, like it seemed like he wanted to commit suicide. At the very, very start of the film, you see this guy sat on a cliff edge, swinging this thing around. And a year before, he'd accidentally killed the actual killer's daughter, I think, if that's right.
Yeah.
So, do you think that he was pushed to kill himself by the fact that the fisherman knew that it was his fault his daughter died?
Maybe he kept sending him notes and pushed him over the edge. But then, if that's his MO, why would he this time be like, "I'm going to push once, and then I'm going to kill him"?
Well, maybe he's got a taste for it now. Maybe he's like, "Oh, I want to beat my PB. If I can get him to kill himself in one note, great. If I can't, take it into my own hands."
Is this whole subplot even needed? Like, 4 people accidentally kill a guy and he comes back seeking revenge is simple enough, right? That's as simple as it needs to get. Are any of these other characters really needed other than to kind of...
Well, I kind of feel like Scream was so big that they were like, we need the murder mystery element. It can't be like an 80s slasher where it's like Jason got drowned and now he's come back to kill everyone. Like, there needs to be the murder mystery element to it. But it doesn't work. Like, I don't think it works. I think it just it's convoluted and
I think that if this wasn't needed, I tell you what certainly isn't needed, the fact that the next bit that comes up with the Billy, whatever his name is, Billy Blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freddie Prinze Jr.'s boat is the Billy Blue Eyes boat. And then we find out Jennifer Love Hewitt runs away and we find out that his next door neighbour boat, or like near enough, is the killer's boat.
Yeah, this is what's happening. So Freddie Prinze Jr. goes, "Oh, come and sit on the boat, we'll have a chat about it." She notices it's called Billy Blue. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I did go and see that woman, and that happened, but it's all right. I just wanted us to get back together." She's having none of it. She runs away. Freddie Prinze Jr. comes after her, but then gets clotheslined by a fisherman.
Yeah.
Could have happened to a nicer guy.
Yeah. He didn't feel it. Doesn't feel much of anything up there these days.
What was that then? A bird?
Yeah.
So he's taken a tumble over, and the fisherman is immediately creepy. He's like, "Oh, get on the boat, child." Is that?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I guess.
Yeah. Fine.
And she gets onto his boat. He follows her onto the boat, and then just unties the little rope so he can go out to sea. Yeah. But unfortunately, she walks into his room of clues. There's an orgy of evidence that he is the killer.
Yeah. It's like he's got a picture of himself with an arrow pointing to his head saying, "I am the killer," or something.
Yeah. And there's like a fisherman's coat and a hook and a sign on the hook saying "Use this for killing teenagers," and loads of photos of loads of photos of them all, a map of all his crimes marked on there.
If anybody else walked onto that boat, they'd be like, "Hey, David, what's all this like killing this teenagers thing about?"
Oh, it's just a laugh, mate.
Writing a novel, mate.
Silliness. Writing a novel, doing a bit of research.
Yeah.
So, like, Julie she goes below deck, and then she's in, like, a place with a load of ice, and it's the most fake ice you've ever seen in your life. It's just, like, little bits of plastic.
It's
she's just crawling around.
Gelatin, apparently. Little chewy bits of gelatin.
Also, there's so many hiding places on this boat. Like, the man is actually shouting after her. He's like, "Oh, there's nowhere to hide." But she goes into like a hold compartment and then goes through a door in there to some sort of engine room, and then goes through a little hatch in there into the ice room. And
at one point, the guy from Crystal Maze pops up and starts guiding her through somewhere else.
He finds the bodies of Helen and Barry in there as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, hasn't Freddie Prinze Jr. He's got onto the boat, but then been punched off it by the hook.
Yeah, he's hanging on by the rope or something.
He's hung onto a rope because the boat has sped up at some point. So while Julie is hiding, he has climbed back up into the rigging of the boat. After going through all these weird compartments and finding a place to hide, Julie opens a trapdoor and is back on the deck with the killer looking down at her. But thankfully, Freddie Prinze Jr. gets a little bit of inspiration and he swings a dirty great hook at him.
Yeah.
What happens there? So it wraps around his hand?
Not yet. It biffs him in the face, and that hook looks pretty heavy. I think you might be knocked out for longer than a few seconds if you get a hook that size swung into your face.
Yeah, he only just had his face reconstructed from the last time they smashed it up. And they,
yeah, but he takes a tumble. They come down and they go. Freddie Prinze Jr. helps Julie out of the hold, and they're like, "Oh, thank goodness, safe." But then his eyes ping open and he sits up like the Undertaker, and he's like, he's ready to go yet again. But this is where he goes to beat them up again. It's not looking good for him. But then in some kind of accident, he gives them some advice saying, "Oh, next time you murder someone, make sure they're actually dead." So taking that advice, what they do is they wrap his hand around a hook. He gets pulled up into the gears and his hand gets mashed off. And then he swings around again and like falls into the sea.
Yeah. So we don't actually see him die again.
Yeah. But he drops into the sea. The police come. Ray and Julie have a little chat about like, "Oh, the thing is, I just love you, and you get me." Are they back together now? What do we think?
Yeah, I think they are, because it cuts to a year later, and I think they're on the phone to each other.
Yeah, that's that.
Yeah, they are. Yes, they must get back together at that point, but they still continue the lie because the policeman turns up and says, "Cool, what do you reckon he was trying to kill you about?" And they're like,
"Yeah,
don't know."
Yeah.
Well, could this guy have any reason to want you dead? No. But he's being genuine.
Yeah,
he's being
remember.
Genuine. That's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, poor Freddie.
Yeah, they're like, no, I've got no idea why he's trying to kill me. Apparently, all the evidence that he left in his boat, none of his motives are in there, just his method.
Oh yeah.
One of his post-its on there was like, "Write down why I'm trying to kill these things," like TBC. He's
like the most uninspired killer in terms of like, with the coat and stuff, the slick coat. Yeah, he's kind of like quite an interesting killer to look at. But when it reveal, it's just like an uncle with a cap and doesn't look like imposing at all. Like he looks like he could fix your car or something, but not.
And he gets killed by Freddie Prinze Jr., aka
just
the dumbest.
He's not gonna end up in space like Jason. Like they're not gonna like take this franchise to that kind of place. I know what you did last summer, X. Where
what would it be called if it's in the like? I guess if it was,
I know what you did on Earth.
I still know what you did last. I'll always know. Maybe it's like I will know what you did.
I know what you did on last summer. That's on the Earth calendar.
I know what you did. I will know what you did. Summer 3000.
I like that. I actually like the sound of it. I will know what you did. Summer 3000. That's cool.
I will know what you have done. Summer 3000.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like, it's not going to happen. Out of interest, do any of you have a particular? This is like uniform dating, isn't it? But is there any job outfit that you think would make a particularly effective murderer costume? So fisherman, we've now done.
Lollipop police officer, but that's a bit close to the bone for the current climate.
Maniac as well did that.
Yeah.
Lollipop lady, because they've got the stick, and they kind of guide kids. There's like a Pied Piper sort of thing going on. Cross this road, now this one. Follow me. All these
onto
roads.
Every edge
a
of
highway.
A cliff. You could have like the lollipop with like rotary blades going around it.
Oh, and it could be sharp, couldn't it? Yeah. I reckon you've got that one, and now we've said it on a recorded medium. No one can steal it. If you want this, Blumhouse, you know what to call.
Lollipopman. The Lollipopman.
Yeah.
With lollipop ladies and men, how'd you get that job? Is it their only job? Is it just something you do on the side? Is it like
you can't be like a cleaner where you've got several things that you're working because the kids all come out of school at the same time, so you can only do one road.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. I mean, I think they get paid in tips. I think the kids are supposed to like throw her like 10 pence, throw her like the pocket money. They don't. But
do you reckon that?
And this is why she wants revenge. I've been working for free for 20 years.
All these years.
No kid has stopped to say hello to me this entire time.
Do you reckon that eventually he become like kind of a River Styx ferryman? And like he'll let the kids get halfway across and then puts the sign across and the cars just come.
That's good. I thought you were going to say like she puts the change that she was due on their eyes, and like she leaves that like, you know what I mean, like a penny for the ferryman.
Jesus Christ!
No, I'm digging this. So lollipop man, or woman. What about you, Ben? Any work uniforms you'd love to see in a horror setting?
Asda.
The trolley person. The trolley person.
Green of Asda.
The sort of the manager, like the manager guy who's got the headset. He obviously means business. Yes, I'm going to come and kill them right now. It's just with the trolley straight into them.
He says over that tannoy, he can control the other workers. He'd be like, service call, please.
Murder this person on aisle free.
Or queue busters.
Village on aisle free. It's blood. I just think
good.
Asda has ruined like lime green for anything. Every time we see green on it, anyone got a green T-shirt on, I just think, do they work at Asda?
Anyone who's eating a lime,
tap their pocket.
I think, bet they got that lime from Asda.
Asda. And then there's a whole different level to it. Asda George employees. That's just someone completely different.
I tell you what,
black with green trim.
There's a film. There's a good job to be a killer. But I don't remember if the film's good or not, but I remember it creeping me out, is The Dentist. Have you seen that one?
I'm aware of it. Isn't it parodied in Gremlins 2?
I don't know. But I remember like this, I seem to remember, and maybe I've made this up, but he sterilizes someone's mouth and they can't feel anything. He starts just like yanking teeth out, like just like ripping tons of them out. Maybe I've made that up. I don't know.
Dentist.
It sounds great.
What time? So where were we? Oh yeah, so we don't think the fishing man is inspired. I guess the final acts of the film are we go into a year later. Julie is now top of the class, as she's pointing out on the phone.
And topless. Don't forget the point.
She's all over. She's top of the class and gonna have a shower, but is having a
she's
lovely
gonna get in the shower with the phone at one point. I was like, whoa!
That's not gonna be earthed.
Do you like it? I like that song. Okay. So yeah.
But she's having all sexy chat with Ray, and then her roommate comes and says, "Oh, you've got some post." She goes and looks at it, and lo and behold, it is the signature font of the fisherman.
Yeah.
But then it isn't, because she opens it and it just turns out it's common handwriting and it's an invitation to a pool party.
It's car cleaning services. She's like, this is suspicious.
Car cleaning services. We'll get crab residue out of your car.
At the same time, she hears this. And she's like, that sounds like someone wiping their finger on my mirror on a piece of glass.
Then, you're right, when it got there. This is what bothers me, though, guys.
Yeah.
That we've established that the killer has a recognisable typeface that he uses from his letters, but his writing on the mirror is not in that font. His writing on the mirror is very, very clean lines.
Well, he's lost the hand. Maybe he's lost the hand that he used to write. He's left-handed now. Who knows? His natural font could have changed.
He's had a year to practice.
Yeah. Using his nose.
He always waits a year. That's the good thing. You could probably use that to your advantage if you're up against it.
What he does with the rest of his year. Might just goes, mosey about the house, potter around, do some DIY.
He goes and watches loads of Penn and Teller shows so he can do the car cleaning, and then he knows, and then he spends the next 8 months when they're off season literally practicing how fast can you clean a car.
Yeah, right, and that's how it ends. So I don't think there's any post-credit scenes or anything. I didn't stick around. I've got a couple of trivia questions for you guys. Number 1, which came first, Scream or I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Has to be Scream, right?
Scream.
Or is it a trick question?
A year before, I think.
So Kevin Williamson wrote this script before Scream, but was unable to sell it. Following the big screen success of his next screenplay, Scream, Columbia Pictures immediately bought I Know What You Did Last Summer. So, I mean, Scream was released first, but I Know What You Did Last Summer was actually written in 1970 or something, which we now know. But the screenplay came first. Number 2, which of the cast is now married to which other member of the cast?
Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr.
That's what I was going to say. Right? To them too.
Yeah, they first met whilst
together?
filming this. I don't know. I don't know what happened to Freddie Prinze Jr. He doesn't really act much more. Even Sarah Michelle Gellar doesn't do too much these days. Bit of a shame.
I bet she made a killing from Buffy, though, right? Did she ever need to?
Yeah. I got some name game for you. It might be a little bit different. I mean, it follows the naming convention of the film, but you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I've got this film. It's about 4 kids who accidentally run over a rural midsummer festival, but a year later the midsummer festival returns and makes them drink its period blood. Do you guys know what that film's called?
So the Midsummer Festival.
I Know What You Did Last Midsummer?
That's right, yeah. Okay.
I just have to remember to think as simply as possible. Don't try and overcomplicate it with a name game.
Okay. So this other one I was watching, it stars that Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and he accidentally runs over his relationship with Zooey Deschanel. Don't know what that one's called.
I know what you did last 50 days of summer. 100 days of summer.
Hang on. What did you say?
I got the wrong number. It's I know what you did last 500 days of summer, right?
Correct. Okay. Well, see if you know what this one is then. So it's about these 4 kids, and they accidentally run over a man who's just gotten his first real 6-string. He bought it at the 5 and dime, played it till his fingers bled, and then he was run over. And now he's out for revenge.
Devastating. It was Bryan Adams they ran over as well.
I know what you did last summer of '69.
Correct.
I've got one for you if you like, Luke.
All right.
Flip reverse.
So a fisherman, having done a nice bit of hacking in his year off, takes revenge on some pesky teenagers who have sniped him at the last minute on some eBay auctions.
The
previous year.
the previous year.
Beat him on the auctions. I think there's a term for that, but I don't know what it is.
Well, they sniped him on the auctions, but he's found out exactly how much they put in and which items they've won off him.
I know what you did last bidder. Or something like that.
It's I know what you bid last summer.
Absolutely mixed it up too much.
I like it. We need to rate the film. This has been a long episode, nearly 2 hours.
It's my fault. It always is.
What are you going to rate the film? Do you know? Anyone want to go?
I reckon unfortunately quite low, just because I've seen it a lot. I remember watching it years and years ago, around about the Scream, when the 90s slashers were. Everyone was watching them. Everyone was loving them. So I've got quite fond memories of it. But going back to it, I was kind of just annoyed by everybody. The reveal was kind of way too convoluted, and I just didn't grab me. It hasn't aged as well as some of the other films that released around this time. So I'm going to give it a C-.
Interesting.
Interesting.
I'm just going to jump in. I went with a C- as well. I've got a lot of fun memories of enjoying this film growing up, but it's not that good. Like it's doesn't quite come together, and the twist doesn't do anything. I mean, I even got it wrong, and both ways don't kind of work for me in a way.
Yeah, and I wasn't 100% convinced either way. Like, you could have told me it was one thing and I would have just believed you, probably.
Yeah. What about you, Andy?
I might go for my harshest rating ever. I think going through this, I normally end up bumping my rating up because I have fun talking about them as we go, but I think for how many times we stopped and mentioned like how much better the likes of Scream was, I think if I think about it in that comparison, and actually let's bring up one of my favourites, I would arguably say there should be more of a place in people's hearts for films like Sleepaway Camp that at least do something a little different. I'm going to give this one slightly lower than you guys. I go a D+. A D+.
Mark D+. Yeah.
There we go.
The D+ brothers. Cool, man. All right.
There's fun to be had, but it's the way it is.
I would much prefer people to watch Scream or Scream 2 or even Scream 3.
I'd say watch Urban Legend. I think Urban Legend had a lot more going for it than this. And I will watch I Still Know What We Did Last Summer to try and see if that's any good. And I do want to watch Cherry Falls as well, another slasher I think it's from the year 2000, which I've been told to watch a few times. So, and I've never seen it, Brittany Murphy, so I'm going to check that out as well.
Yeah, I want to watch that one. I've never seen it. Cool.
I know I have, but I can tell you very little about it. That's how much is memorable.
Should be good then.
There we go.
Cool. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that then. Keep it just under 2 hours. If you enjoyed the episode, please consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/Hawk and Cleaver. Thanks to Kovac Cowman for our theme music. Thanks to Acast for hosting the show. Thanks to the listeners. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing, and join the Facebook group Horror Hangout Board of Advisors. Thanks to my co-host Ben for being a right horror dude, and thanks also to Andy for being a right horror dude.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks, guys. Good
Cool.
times.
Right.
Yeah.
Catch you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.